So, a while back, I saw a post on this website for forever aloners or nerds or whatever type of people called 9gag. And they posted this post called the best science jokes ever. And, you know, for many people who don't really science, I'm gonna not do maths today and going to attempt to explain the 20 science jokes from 9gag. Just a little side note here about where I got my information. Some of them I already kind of knew. Some of them I had to look it up on the internet. Some of them I just simply read the comments on 9gag. So you guys would know where I got my information from. So yeah, let's get going with the jokes. Helium walks into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "Sorry, we don't serve noble gases here." He doesn't react. Helium, it's a noble gas, and noble gases tend to be quite unreactive. So how helium doesn't react because it's a noble gas and not reactive. Pavlov is sitting at a pub enjoying a pint. The phone rings and he jumps shouting, "Oh shit, I forgot to feed the dog." Ivan Pavlov was a Russian psychologist and he did an experiment with dogs and their stimulus. So every time he fed a dog, his dog, he would ring a bell as well. Now, after he does this for several times, every time he rings a bell, the dog's saliva would start to drip as if he was going to bring food in, but he didn't, which the joke is probably that the bell was rung and maybe the phone rang as well. They both ring, and then food, he reminds you of the food, something like that. A physicist, engineer, and a statistician are out hunting. Suddenly, a deer appears 50 yards away. The physicist does some basic ballistic calculations, assuming a vacuum, lifts his rifle to a specific angle, and shoots. The bullet lands 5 yards short. The engineer adds a fudge factor of air resistance, lifts his rifle slightly higher, and shoots. The bullet lands 5 yards long. The statistician yells, "We've got him." So basically, the physicist was 5 yards short, and the engineer was 5 yards too long. And so basically, what the statistician did was basically he just found the mean of the two values, +5 -5. It's 0, and so that's why he just says, "We got him." I was reading a book on anti-gravity. I found it difficult to put down. Well, this one's quite straightforward. You have a book, there's no gravity, no F-graph pushing it down, so it's difficult to put down. Well, although I don't really see why, because there's no force pushing it up, so I think it will be quite easy to put it down, but I'm not telling jokes here, am I? 3 logicians walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Do you all want something to drink?" The first logician says, "I don't know." The second logician says, "I don't know." The third logician says, "Yes." So this next joke is a bit tricky, so I'm going to try to attempt to explain it. So there's 3 logicians. Now the key question is, do you all want something to drink? So that they're asking if all 3 logicians want something to drink. So if either one of them didn't want something to drink, then they would just basically answer no. So the first logician says, "I don't know." Now he could have either wanted to drink or not want the drink. Now if he didn't want the drink, he would just say no, because he knows that regardless of the other 2 logicians, he didn't want the drink. So all the 3 logicians didn't want something to drink. Maybe only 2 of them, maybe 1 of them, maybe none of them, but definitely not all of them, because the first one did not want to drink. However, he says, "I don't know," which means he did want something to drink. But the reason he can't give a straight answer is because the answer would depend on the other 2 logicians. Now, coming to the second one, he knows that the first one said, "I don't know," probably because he does want something to drink. Now, he has the same thing. He could either say yes, he wants something to drink, or no. If he didn't want something to drink, then he would just simply say no, regardless of what the other 2 logicians says. Because not all of them want it, because he doesn't want it. But he probably said yes, that's why he said "I don't know," waiting for a response from the last logician. Now the third one knows that the first one and the second one want something to drink. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said, I don't know. They would just simply said no. And so it was up to him. And then he said yes, because he knows that the first one wants it, he knows the second one wants it, and he knows himself that he wants something to drink. And so that's why all the three logicians just went on to get a beer. Though it doesn't really say that in the joke, but yeah, I assume they did. I've got my doctorate in palindromes. I'm now addressed as Dr. Awkward. Well, it's not too hard, this one. Dr. Awkward is a palindrome. If you write out the letter, you flip it around, it's a palindrome. Something that can be read the same forward and backwards. There are two types of people in the world. Those who can extrapolate from incomplete data. Someone can extrapolate from incomplete data and someone who can't. The joke is that you have to actually extrapolate from incomplete data to be able to finish off the joke. Never trust an atom. They make up everything. Yeah, I'll give them that pun. That's a good pun right there. Atoms making up everything. Which could mean they either make up everything, as in like build everything up, or they just make up everything as in they lie. Could either mean two ways. That's a bit of an English joke, a bit of a pun, but yeah. Sodium, 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 Batman. A logician's wife is having a baby. The doctor immediately hands the newborn to the dad. His wife asks impatiently, so, is it a boy or a girl? The logician says, yes. So in normal people we understand the question as, is it a boy or is it a girl? But for this case, the logician understands the question as, is it a boy or a girl? So is it either one of those two? And because, yes it is, the baby is a boy or a girl, that's why he replied yes. Heisenberg is driving down the road when a cop pulls him over and asks him, do you know how fast you were going back there? To which Heisenberg responds, no, but I do know where I was. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states that for a particle, you cannot determine exactly its position and its momentum at the same time. The more you know about one thing, the less you know about the other. And so for this case, Heisenberg knows the position of his car, which leaves that he probably knows really little about its momentum. And because momentum is mass times velocity, that probably also implies that he knows little about velocity.
Bazinga!
Two scientists walk into a restaurant. The first says, I'll have an H2O, and the second one says, I'll have an H2O too. He died. Classic chemistry joke, H2O2, H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, toxic, and you would die if you drink it. Don't try this at home, kids. It's not good for you. Two atoms are talking. One of them says, I think I've lost an electron. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm positive. Another great pun right there. If you lost an electron, your charge would increase by 1. And if you were an atom with a charge of 0 and you lose an electron, you would be positively charged. And that's why he says, I'm positive. Which also implies kind of like saying yes. A priest, a doctor, and an engineer are golfing. Ahead of them is a group that is playing incredibly slow. They play through and back at the clubhouse. They ask about the slow plays. Oh, says the manager. They're a group of firefighters who were all blinded last year saving the clubhouse. Oh, that's awful, says the priest. I'll pray for them. Oh, that's awful, says the doctor. I'm an optometrist, so I'll see them all pro bono. Why do they just play at night, says the engineer. Well, I think this is another one that shows the engineer's traits of problem solving, and basically it just says that since they're blind, then they can't see, so it doesn't really matter if they play in the day or at night. But yeah, I guess that's all the joke for this one. Well, I tried to tell a chemistry joke at school the other day. No reaction. Well, in chemistry, when you mix something together or you try to do something and nothing happens, you would just say there's no reaction, and it's just another pun again. Because, you know, you tell a chemistry joke, chemistry, no reaction, no one's laughing, it's a bad joke. What do you think of that new restaurant on the moon? The food's great, but it has no atmosphere. Basically, the moon has no atmosphere. Well, it actually has a little bit of atmosphere, but I guess the joke just implies that there's no atmosphere in the moon, so it's kind of like the restaurant's got no atmosphere because it's on the moon, you know what I mean? Like, one day, Einstein, Newton, and Pascal meet up and decide to play a game of hide and seek. Einstein volunteered to be it. As Einstein counted, eyes close to 100, Pascal ran away and hid, but Newton stood right in front of Einstein and drew a 1 meter by 1 meter square on the floor around himself. When Einstein opened his eyes, he immediately saw Newton and said, "I found you, Newton." But Newton replied, "No, you found Pascal." Newton drew a square around him, so there is 1 Newton per square meter. And 1 Newton per square meter is a Pascal, which is a unit of pressure used to find how much force is being exerted in a certain area. And so that's why they found Pascal, because there's 1 Newton per square meter. An infinite number of mathematicians walk into a bar. "I'll have a pint," says the first one. "Half a pint for me, please," says the second one. "Quarter of a pint, please, barkeep," says the third. "An eighth of your finest ale," says the fourth, and so on, so on, so on. After 5 minutes of this nonsense, the barman puts up 2 pints on the bar and tells them to sort it out amongst themselves. So if you were to work out that infinite sum, 1 plus a half plus a quarter plus an eighth, etc., you would find out that the limit, the answer would approach 2, but never quite reach 2, but it will approach 2, and so that's why the barman just hands them 2 glasses and says sort it out for themselves. How can he tell the difference between a chemist and a plumber? Ask them to pronounce that word. Unionized, unionized are spelled the same way, but means different things depending on what job you do. Unionized would mean you join the trade union, a union, an organization that helps with the employees if they are mistreated or unfairly dismissed or something like that. Unionized is when a particle is not an ion, it has no charge. So oxygen and potassium went on a date. It was okay. Okay. O oxygen, K potassium. Although if you want to be more chemistry precise, then you would really say the atomic formula would be K2O, though then the joke wouldn't really work, and you know, we're not doing chemistry around here, are we? So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. That's my 20 jokes on 9 gags explained. If you like what you just saw, consider like the video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, I'll be back with more math content soon again. And for now, goodbye.